I have two illustrations over here. I drew on the whiteboard two illustrations. Now this one over here is what is known as a standalone computer system. That means just like any computers that you see in the ICT lab, kind of like looks like this. So it has a monitor, it has a keyboard, it has a mouse, and it has a CPU. All these computers that you see in the computer lab is basically like this. And what I did for the sake of the lesson or the sake of my illustration over here is I added a printer. We don't have a printer in the ICT room, but I added one just to be able to explain this little concept to you guys, okay? So what do we have over here? We have the monitor, the CPU, the keyboard, and the mouse, and that's a full desktop computer system that it works. And I have added a printer. I'm going to use a red pen to illustrate. Now, if I want to use the printer, that means I want to print, all I have to do is connect the printer to this CPU. With a wire, I simply go straight like that. Okay, I go straight like that. And you can see that if when you're online and the printer is working, it has ink, it has paper, everything is very nice. And let's say you're online and you see something really cool and you want to print it. You hit print and guess what? You'll be able to print out of this printer. That means you'll be able to send the print from your computer to this printer and the printer will give you your printout. Okay, now let's go and look at my other illustration over here. Now, if you look at this one, let me move my camera a little bit closer. Okay, I don't know, can we see it? Sure we can. Okay, so now in this image, see, the first one, I only had one computer, a full desktop computer, and one printer. But in this one, I have 4 computers, but 1 printer. The first one was 1 computer set, that means 1 desktop computer, with 1 printer. But my second illustration, I have 4 computers and 1 printer, not 4 printers, 1 printer. So now we have a small little problem. The first one was easy. We had 1 computer and 1 printer connected to the computer, and when you hit print, it prints. Perfect, nothing wrong there. But then the second one, now we have 4 computers, and we need to connect these 4 computers to 1 printer. What do we do? So in this case, what's going to happen is we are going to introduce another CPU, just a CPU. I'm going to draw it right here. We add a CPU, okay? And then we add the 4 computers to that CPU. So how many CPUs do we have? We have 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have added 1 over here in red ink. So I'm going to connect this CPU to this guy, this CPU to this guy, this CPU to this guy, and this CPU to this guy. So that means now I have all 4 CPUs connected to one new CPU that I have placed it over here. And I'm going to connect the printer to that CPU. I'm going to connect that printer to that CPU. Now the printer is connected where? Is the printer connected to this CPU? Not really, not directly. It is connected to this CPU, and this CPU is connected to the other CPU. So that means now from any machine, if you want to print, you can print. So basically what am I showing you guys over here? If you go over here, I'm doing a little bit differently. So that's basically one system right there, and it is connected to only 1 printer. So you see the red line right there? So I'm basically connecting 1 printer to 1 desktop system right over there. 1 printer, 1 computer. So if I'm sitting over here, if I click print, it'll be able to print over here. But in this scenario on this side, I have 4. So I have 1 over there, I have 1 up there, I have 1 over there, and then of course I have 1 down over here. So in order to use the printer to connect to 4 computers, I add another CPU over here. Makes it easy, you see that? And then I will simply connect this CPU to that CPU. I will connect that CPU to that CPU over there to that CPU, and then of course that CPU all the way to that CPU. But I don't connect the printer to this CPU, I will connect it to my main CPU. So that means I can print from any computer as I want. I can print from anywhere, and I can still use the printer by using 4 machines. So this one is known as a single setup right over here, and this one is known as a network setup. As you can see, there are 4 computers, and there's a CPU right there, and the printer is right next to it. Okay, see you next lesson, guys. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.